When Heath Ledger prepared for The Dark Knight, he vanished into isolation. He locked himself in a hotel room for weeks. No phone calls, no distractions, just him and a notebook. Inside, he created what he called the Joker's Diary. Pages filled with twisted jokes, violent thoughts, disturbing clippings, even the Joker's handwriting. He would experiment with a voice, with a laugh, scribbling notes as he fell deeper into the mind of Gotham's mad clown. By the time cameras rolled, Ledger wasn't just acting, he was the Joker. That performance redefined villains forever, but also pushed him into a darkness that many believe he never fully escaped. Christian Bale is Hollywood's ultimate shapeshifter. For The Machinist, he starved himself down to just 120 pounds, living on coffee, apples, and almost nothing else. He lost 60 pounds and looked unrecognizable. Then, only months later, he packed on muscle to become Batman. But it wasn't just his body. Bale often lived as his characters.
There's no need to have a dumb movie.
On American Psycho, he stayed in Patrick Bateman's chilling persona. On Vice, he gained weight, reshaped his walk, his voice, his breathing, until Dick Cheney appeared before our eyes. For Bale, acting isn't pretending. It's complete transformation, even when it risks his health. When Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman in Man on the Moon, he refused to step out of character. Not once. On set, during breaks, even off set, Jim didn't exist. There was only Andy. He would speak as Andy, argue as Andy, even prank people as Andy Kaufman or Kaufman's alter ego, Tony Clifton. The cast and crew were so unsettled that many said it felt like Andy had truly come back from the dead. Carrey later admitted the role nearly broke him. But the result was a performance that was haunting, hilarious, and unforgettable. Jared Leto's Joker wasn't just on screen. It invaded real life. Determined to shock his fellow actors, he sent them strange, unsettling gifts. A live rat to Margot Robbie, bullets to Will Smith, even a used condom and a dead pig delivered to the set. The cast described it as disturbing, uncomfortable, but unforgettable. For Leto, it was about keeping the chaos alive, forcing everyone to react to the Joker, not Jared. And while the film divided critics, one thing became clear. Jared Leto was willing to go further than most to blur the line between actor and madman. Shia LaBeouf has always been intense, but for Fury, he pushed himself to shocking extremes. To play a World War II soldier, he pulled out his own tooth. He cut his face with a knife to create scars and refused to shower for weeks. Cast members said the smell inside the tank became unbearable, but Shia insisted it had to be real. Every ounce of dirt, every scar, every drop of sweat on screen wasn't makeup. It was lived, and love him or hate him, LaBeouf proved that his commitment was as raw as it gets. And if you are enjoying watching, then make sure to like the video and hit subscribe.
Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can!
Daniel Day-Lewis is often called the greatest living actor, and for Lincoln, he proved why. For 3 months before filming, he refused to be Daniel. He became Abraham Lincoln on set, in private, even when ordering lunch. He spoke only in Lincoln's soft, reedy voice. He studied old photographs, carried himself with Lincoln's posture, and even wrote letters in the president's style. Crew members said it felt like time travel. You weren't talking to an actor, you were standing in front of America's 16th president. It was this total immersion that earned him his 3rd Oscar and solidified his reputation as the ultimate method actor. Leonardo DiCaprio finally won his Oscar with The Revenant, but the journey there was brutal. To portray a man struggling to survive in the wilderness, he lived that survival himself. He slept inside real animal carcasses. He waded through freezing rivers. He ate raw bison liver, even though he's vegetarian. Nothing was fake. Nothing was comfortable. DiCaprio later admitted the experience was one of the hardest of his career. But it was that suffering, that relentless commitment, that made the film so raw and so real. Cillian Murphy didn't just act as Tommy Shelby in Peaky Blinders. He lived as Tommy Shelby. He kept the Brummy accent even after the cameras stopped rolling. He walked with the same razor-sharp confidence, carrying Shelby's cold, calculating presence everywhere he went. Murphy said it wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about staying locked in a character. By living as Tommy, every glance, every pause, every cigarette on screen felt authentic. It made viewers believe not just in the man, but in the myth. And for 6 seasons, audiences didn't just watch Cillian Murphy play a gangster. They believed Tommy Shelby had stepped straight out of history. To play Arthur Fleck in Joker, Joaquin Phoenix stripped himself bare, both physically and mentally. He lost over 50 pounds, his body shrinking into a fragile frame. The weight loss alone altered his posture, his movements, even his laugh. But he went further. He stayed isolated. He studied mental illness, loneliness, and despair, sinking into Arthur's tortured psyche. Phoenix said the process nearly drove him mad. But what emerged was one of the most haunting performances in modern cinema. A descent into chaos that won him the Academy Award.
Joaquin Phoenix, Joker. This is the first Oscar and 4th nomination for Joaquin Phoenix.
And finally, Robert De Niro. Before playing Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver, he actually got a cab driver's license and drove passengers around New York City. Hours on the streets, real conversations, real experiences. He wanted to understand the isolation, the late nights, the restless energy of the city. By the time filming began, De Niro wasn't imagining a cabbie's life. He had lived it. So when he looked in the mirror and asked,
"You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me?"
It wasn't just a line. It was the voice of every lonely driver in the city that never sleeps. These actors went further than most ever would. They blurred the line between performance and reality. And in doing so, they didn't just create characters. They created legends.